that are not comfortable for white people. They're not comfortable for them to talk about the possibility that Africans were here before the Europeans. So what do you do with the heads in Mexico that you find at San Lorenzo, at Tres Zapotes? What do you do with those? All right? You ignore them. What do you do with Columbus's diary that says the Africans know a way to the west, but it goes around the doldrums, we would never survive? What do you do with that? You ignore it. What do you do with Balboa's diary that says we came upon this African village in the isthmus? How did these Africans get here? What do you do with that? You ignore it. Why? To preserve the myth that the Europeans were here first. What do you do with all of this written literature and history?
It has been proven that the DNA in the Americas matches no other anywhere on Earth. Now the story goes that all life started in Africa, except here on the American continent. It means that there were two different types of people. You with me so far? Okay. Now sit down and hold on, because here's where it gets scary. I hope you can handle this. Scientists are actually now going in the opposite direction. They are starting to wonder if possibly life started here in the Americas. Wow. That should blow your mind about as much as a fucking white Jesus.
Now, let me explain to you what you have just witnessed. If you're not this far in the game yet, man, you got a ways to go. You got a long ways to go, man. Come on, man, let's catch up. Let's get the real knowledge. Come on, man, what we doing out here?
Fort Ransom is a small place within the state of North Dakota, USA, that may hold an enormous yet quietly held secret. In this small slice of the rural farming lands of the United States lies a place known as Pyramid Hill, a small, modest pyramidal mound, which is very similar in shape and size to the curious pyramidal mound found in other parts of the world, such as Silbury Hill, a chalk pyramid within the UK. Long argued by a number of funded geologists as a mere natural formation. However, local residents, along with historical accounts within the area, have strongly disagreed with these conclusions, since their predictable acceptance by the academic community. A vast portion of the surrounding population believe, including a number of specialist historians and archaeologists, that Pyramid Hill is in fact that of a man-made pyramid. What's more, they hold to the belief that it is the oldest pyramidal structure on Earth.
A writing stone with unknown language, thousands of years old, was found at this site. Pictoglyphs all over the area. We know the truth now.
What they do, fam, it amazes me, man, how some people just can't even fathom, like, this even being possible. When clearly the evidence is right here. This is the pyramids in America. More pyramids in the Americas than there is anywhere else. Peep, fam, peep. This is just a few. Look, this is all down it, all down. Look, this is all the Central America. Look at this. Pyramids everywhere. Look, you see Mexico right there. Look, you see they light skin. But if you take a look right here, look, the same color as me. Look, same color as me. We the real Neters, Neteru, real Egyptians, Nubians, the Mayans, all that. You got gods and goddesses like Isis and Osiris that got temples in the Grand Canyon in Sedona, Arizona. It's right here, fam. This is why they're the ones going over there, because we already found artifacts, pottery older than Jesus. And we already know where that came from. There was a lady right here on TikTok. She was viewing the book, and this is the Temple of Isis right here. Look at that. That's a seat. And if you know Isis, she has a throne on her head, or she also has horns. And that's a big seat, because we were giant. We were huge beings. And we can talk about all the giant founding bones and everything they found all around here in this area. Because, fam, those are us. Those are our ancestors, because we are the giants. We can also talk about the animals that the gods and goddesses represent and where they are native to. And as you can see, where falcons are native to, which I'm not going to even read it, let you read it. Got another god, Anubis. Well, this is Anubis right here, which is a Mexican hairless doll. This is in Mexico. If you don't know about the warrior god, this is Segment, and she's a lion. As you can see, North American lions and how long they was there. Another example, you got Sobek, right? He's a crocodile, right? And this is where you can mostly find crocodiles, man. This is where you can mostly find them. Got another god, Noon. He's a ram, and rams are native too. Right. Read it. And that was just some gods and goddesses, just to name a few. But most of the animals they represent are native to the Americas, North, Central, and South. I almost forgot about Thoth. He's an Ibis, and look where they reside, man. Look where they be at, man. Come on, man. Sometimes you have to stop believing what you was taught. Actually go do the research on these things. But you already know that we've been taught everything backwards as hell. My people think it's evil, but this really our true essence. This is our true magic right here. And once we know who we are, where we at, and what we need to do, nobody can stop us. The best knowledge is knowing self. Peace to the guys and goddesses.
One thing y'all gotta know is our ancestors built pyramids all over this place.
I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. You go to East St. Louis, you got a place in East St. Louis called the Cahokia Mounds. And it's an old civilization. Indian tribe called themselves the Cahokians. You know what I'm saying? And you look at these mounds were pyramids. Then you start digging in these mounds, you find hieroglyphs. They done found emerald tablets with Hebrew writings on it, the Hebrew commandments on it, and they carbon dated these things back, and it's older than things that's actually in what they call Egypt today. It's a conflict right there. I gotta start questioning things.
Being from St. Louis, we learned this at a young age. Yes, there was Hebrew writing found inside these pyramids that date back older than the things in Egypt.
All you have to do is pay attention. It's common sense. It's right in your face. Tulsa, Oklahoma, the home of Black Wall Street. The Indian Removal Act made Creek Indians, Choctaw Indians, Cherokee Indians, and Chickasaw Indians move to Oklahoma. When they move those people there, those people end up thriving, making Black Wall Street. Hospitals, dentists, grocery stores, nightclubs, furniture stores, clothing stores, all owned by black people, was bombed in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But the big picture is, how did all those black people get there to thrive all together? They were made to move there by the Indian Removal Act of Andrew Jackson. The truth is right in your face.
The ancient pyramids in Mississippi and their strange powers. So Mississippi, beautiful land, hold a secret that go against what we usually know. There was ancient pyramids that belonged to a smart group of people a long time ago. Now we gonna learn about these lost pyramids, which was broken down when them new folk came to America, and how they still impact people today. Now it's similar to the Bermuda Triangle in a story from the past, way before Columbus came. Before he came to America, a group of people lived here and built things like pyramids. And these pyramids showed just how smart these folks was and how good they was at building and knowing about the stars and all that kind of junk. And people think that these pyramids were very special places for their beliefs, but history books don't talk much about it. Matter of fact, they don't talk at all about it. Now these pyramids was destroyed and hidden. So when them new folk came from Europe, they took over the land and destroyed a lot of the old stuff because, they ain't mean nothing to them, including these pyramids. Now, they wanted to take away the cultures of the people. It was like the number one way to just like slap them in the face. But some say that not all the pyramids was destroyed. Some of them still buried under hills, you know, all over the Mississippi area, all up along the Mississippi River and all that. And these hidden pyramids is waiting to be found and studied.
Otto Sevis.
Very few black slaves were brought over from Africa to America. The black people, the Washita people, for example, down there in the Louisiana area, they were there since time immemorial. The Moroccan or black African Americans, they are the originals, along with the other indigenous Indian bloodlines, okay?
Again, Africa. So let's go. Somebody has said it. Bow, 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 bow. America. And they keep telling us that, but they keep telling us that we came from where? So let's go back up, because they're going to try to say, that's how they try to confuse us. See, our brothers and sisters on the other continent, I don't do hate and talk bad on the Africans. Africans is a beautiful continent. They are many countries in that continent with beautiful people, but we are American. And what they did was just a little more it was way more sinister. Minor setback, major comeback. What that say? What did that say, y'all? America. Y'all see in there the Mari. Y'all see that word? Mary. When you talking about the Mari, Moors, and all that stuff, this is the root word right there. Mari. Maya. Mayat. All that come from Ma, the mother people. America. We get in the Bible, all that stuff with the Bible, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, that's all Hebraic religions that's coming back from the Mary. So who is the sons of God? Who are the sons of Mary? Who the sons of Mary? Who are the Sun Kings? Who are the Heru? We right here in America. Mary. Bow, 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 bow. America. Bow, 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 bow. America. Bow, 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 bow. Bow. America. Bow. And we also got in this place, who is this, y'all? Who is this? Europa.
1632, as other Caribbean locations over the next few decades were infiltrated, but the exact number may never be known. By 1637, approximately 69% of the population of Montserrat were Irish. Many were indentured servants, yet some were slaves. The rationale was simple. Black slaves had to be purchased at a cost of around 20 to 50 pounds sterling, a huge sum of money in those days. However, Irish slaves were sold for 900 pounds of cotton per person, but also traded for tobacco and indigo in a straight barter system. It would appear that the Irish then became the largest source of slaves for English slave traders and plantation owners at that time, far surpassing the African slave trade until the early to mid-1700s. Between 1641, during the Irish Rebellion, to 1652, it has been stated that over 550,000 Irish were killed by English forces and 300,000 more were sold as slaves, mostly military-aged men. Their children, especially women and girls, were sold and considered quite valuable in the domestic service roles. The greatest perpetrator of this was Oliver Cromwell, who defeated Charles I in 1649 during the English Civil War and had him executed. Cromwell, as Lord Protector, waged a ruthless war against the Irish, starting in 1649. By 1650, it is claimed that nearly 29,000 Irish were sold to planters in St. Kitts. During the decade of the 1650s, it is also claimed, as well as disputed, that around 100,000 Irish children, generally from 10 to 14 years of age, were taken from their parents and were also sold, and sold themselves also as slaves or indentured servants in the West Indies, Virginia, the Carolinas, and New England. It is also claimed that between 1651 and 1660, the Irish slaves far outnumbered the colonists in all areas. In 1652, Cromwell ordered that 12,000 Irish were to be sold to Barbados, and those numbers are not in dispute, only their status. On 1 May 1654, his "To Hell or to Connaught" proclamation was issued during the Act of Settlement of 1662. This was when the English began confiscating all Irish-held lands, and the native Irish were relocated west of the Shannon River. Those who resisted were sent to the West Indies as slaves or executed. His own words proclaimed, quote, "Those who fail to transplant themselves into Connaught or County Clare within 6 months shall be attainted of high treason, or to be sent to America or other parts beyond the seas. Those banished who return ought to suffer the pains of death as felons by virtue of this act without benefit of clergy." End quote. The English could kill the Irish without penalty, but selling them offered great profit. It is claimed that over 80,000 more Irish were
In 1855, an Indian community in New York was destroyed. 300 people were left homeless. It was called Seneca Village, but you know it as Central Park, right? So, and we have the Library of Congress, right? All the Indians, right? And look at the buildings. Look, all the Indians up top there to your left. You know, they're just everywhere, okay? All the Indians everywhere, right? Buildings, okay? Buildings upon buildings. They didn't have cameras, so they had to depict what they saw, all right? So we have a chief of Bas Jesmans, or as the Europeans called them, Bush Negroes, on a visit to the governor of Paramaribo, Arawaks, or Caribbean Indians at Suriname. Look at the buildings in the background. Look at the Indians right here. All right, let's keep moving. Now, look at her hair braided and in a bun. Look at her hair. Look at her facial features, both of them. Look at him, his hair. Look at his hair. Look at his hair. Look at his hair. This person, look how they built this structure right here, okay? But I know you're thinking like, well, I don't see any buildings and stuff. Pay close attention, and I'll point it out to you. These are the buildings right here. Because you can say that, oh, those are trees. This is a tree, okay? This is a tree. These are buildings grouped together. Let's see if we can crop in. Buildings. See the top of it? Those are buildings. Those are not trees. It's a city. All right? Let's keep moving. But I want to go over these phenotypes again from Peru. You know, since they're trying to say it was some weird looking dudes and it wasn't us. Look at these two women. Look how, like I keep telling you, these Europeans, because it's from a European book, okay? Think Dutch or something, Netherlands, I don't know. These Europeans know who we are. And so does the USA, but they willfully suppress it.
November 10, 1898, over 2,000 armed white people descended on Wilmington City Hall and forced black and white elected officials to resign in a coup. At the time, Wilmington, North Carolina was home to a prosperous community of black business owners, doctors, lawyers, and politicians. In the days leading up to the 1898 election, white groups known as Red Shirts organized to intimidate black voters. Infuriated by the result of a biracial government, a mob of white men waged a campaign of terror against black residents. Colonel Alfred Moore Waddell, a former Confederate officer and U.S. congressman, led the mob and declared that he would choke the current of the Cape Fear River with black bodies. Armed white rioters destroyed black businesses and killed hundreds of black residents. The Daily Record, a black newspaper that had previously denounced lynchings of black people, was the first business the mob targeted. President William McKinley declined to intervene, leaving Wilmington's black residents to fend for themselves. Thousands of black citizens fled the city in the wake of the insurrection, which dramatically altered the racial demographics of the city. Colonel Waddell, who led the insurrection, was appointed Wilmington's new mayor. Racial hierarchy was codified as state policy for half a century to follow.
People did not exist before 1681. Again, white people did not exist on planet Earth until 1681. Number two, any claim that this group called white people, any claim that that group is rooted in biology or derived from genes or biology or is innate or is from nature is a lie.
That's only how long they've been in existence. You got to understand that they only been here 6,000 of their man-made years. So what they did was, a lot of the things that they show you when they showing you themselves sitting like in historical places with us, or they showing you all these old pictures, they really ain't do shit but go back and write themselves in our time, all right? And a lot of us don't know that this was possible, but that's what they were showing you in movies in the 80s, like The Terminator, when he was going back in time trying to stop some shit that happened in the past, because going back in the past, if you can change one little thing, it alters the future, all right? And when you gotta remember that time isn't real.
Let me teach you. This is Douglas H. Johnson, an appointed Indian chief of the Chickasaw Nation. You heard it right, appointed. The President of the United States appointed the representative of the Chickasaw Nation. These guys were Native Americans mixed with colonizers made to be Indian chiefs by the government. That's why they owned slaves. Their fathers were colonizers. Check this out. The Chickasaw legislature passed bills to make indigenous or so-called slaves freedmen. These are 4 Indian chiefs appointed by the government. Check out the party, the Chickasaw National Party. When did Indians have a national party? The tribal government of the Chickasaw Nation is a democratic republic modeled after that of who? The federal government. This is a picture from the 1500s showing a real Chickasaw Indian. They've been whitewashed. We know the truth.
Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. I got a story time for you. So my family was one of those families, you know, we've got this much Cherokee in our ancestry, and they had some things to kind of back it up. There were like paintings or artifacts, you know, sort of things to be like, oh, actually, no, we do. So imagine their surprise when we did an ancestry test and none. 0, despite the glorious cheekbones, those not indigenous. But then where did these receipts come from to say that we did have this ancestry? It was a bit more sinister than the fam was expecting. Have you heard of the Cherokee land lotteries? I hadn't, but apparently my family won one. So when the Cherokees were ousted from their land, Trail of Tears, all of that, their land was lotteried off. My family bought into the raffle and won one of these plots of land with everything that was still on it from when the family was forcibly removed. This is why we had pictures and artifacts, things that my family just, you know, whitewashed into our story of, oh, this is part of our history. I mean, when they talk about appropriation, y'all, in this time of banned books and suppressing narratives that don't look good on our country, it's important that we tell our stories so that people can know the truth of what happened.
Today's Native Americans are not the first Americans. They came over to the Americas in the AD era, and this unprecedented discovery about the world raises a whole bunch of new questions that are begging for answers. Why did they leave Central Asia? What is their story?
This man is a direct descendant of a person who lived in Central Asia about 35 to 40,000 years ago.
Wow.
And his ancestor is also the ancestor of most Europeans and Native Americans.
Wow.
He's a man called Niazov, who lives in Kazakhstan.
Are you the same person that did some research I noticed on the internet that says that the Native American people are somehow connected to Central Europe?
Yes, Central Asia.
Central Asia.
Yeah, that was a paper that we published last year.
Okay. That's good to know.
What do you think of that?
I you know, and I was looking at a book from people from Central Asia, and I saw my cousin Emmett and Abraham, Auntie Grandma Buggy, and I said, my God, I got family over there in Central Asia. These were the Mongolian people.
This Georgia lake is one of the most haunted lakes in America and has an extremely dark past. I must issue a trigger warning. Before the lake was made by building Buford Dam to generate power for the city of Atlanta in 1956, there was a thriving black community named Oscarville. It was home to over 1,000 African Americans and had churches, schools, and many businesses. But in 1912, the body of a white woman was found unalived just outside the town. A local mob by the name of the Night Riders mobbed the town, lighting everything on fire and making on the locals flee and abandon the town. Many of them being put to rest with Oscarville. But even before the tragedy of Oscarville, it was home to the Cherokee and Creek tribes. The tribes had many burial grounds in the area where the lake sits today. Although they have claimed to have removed all the bodies, the technology and tools for ground penetration they were using at the time makes it extremely unlikely they were able to remove them all. Regardless if they did or not, it is a strong belief by the tribes that if you disturb the resting, it will release a lot of bad spiritual energy. Since the lake has been constructed over the remains of Oscarville and the burial grounds, 600 to 700 people have gotten stuck and unalived in the water, many of them never to be seen again.
Black Seminoles deserve to be remembered for a number of reasons. They created the largest haven in the U.S. South for runaway slaves. They led the largest slave revolt in U.S. history. They secured the only emancipation of rebellious slaves prior to the U.S. Civil War, and they formed the largest mass exodus of slaves across the United States, moving from the Florida Everglades through Indian Territory, what would become Oklahoma, eventually locating in Mexico, where they secured title to their own land. It's a remarkable story. It's overlooked not just by filmmakers, it's not well known in popular culture, and in fact it's been overlooked by historians of slavery. It's been overlooked by historians.
Many black people were entitled to some of these benefits. The government did not want blacks to get these benefits, so they created a separate freedmen's list specifically for black people. They also started to list any full-blooded Native American who had African features as black because they didn't want them getting those benefits either. At the same time, they allowed white citizens to come in and pay money under the table to be listed as part Native American.
Is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me. They don't look like the Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. And a lot of people are laughing at
1895, 1896, when a lot of the whites found out the benefits that these blacks are going to be entitled to, a lot of whites went to the Dawes Commission and say, look, why don't you put my name on there? They said, but you're not an Indian. So that's what they said, well, I'll give you $5. So the rule got around, the policy got around that for $5 that a white could put his name on the Dawes rolls and be called himself an Indian.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has made Tartaria archives public. Now, why is this so important? Now, remember, all the young people kept telling you that America was Tartaria, right? Now, I'm going to give you some context on what he did. When you read it right here, the lost city of North America were they Tartarian. And as you can see, before Christopher discovered America, we was primitive tribes, right? Now, if you look at this map, it says before the arrival of Columbus. But let's take a closer look at this map. As you can see, Paris was in America, England was in America, Palestine was in America, Jordan was in America. You feel what I'm saying? Let's look at the other side of the map. as you can see, Cuba, Venezuela, Sweden, Scotland, right, was all in Texas. Now, see, look, Florence, Jordan, all of this was in America, bro. So when Putin released it, he checkmated him. Now, how he checkmated him? Because he's saying that we been telling you all this time. You feel what I'm saying? So when Putin released it, we can actually really whoop the white people's asses. Basically, that's what he did. He said, I don't gotta touch you. I'm gonna let your own peoples touch you. And that's why he released this. You feel me? But not only that, let's get some more context to it. This knocks out the claim of the Native Americans, right? It knocks them straight out the box because, remember, they said they was here first. So now he killed two birds with one stone. We didn't come from Africa. We is the city. We is the whole world. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you understand, Tartaria was a world of inventions. You feel what I'm saying? So now it makes sense why all the black peoples is 1940, 17, 1800s, 1900s. You see what I'm saying? So now it makes sense why these dates, coincide with each other. So you mean to tell me black folks just woke up at one time and just started doing stuff all in the same? Yeah, come on now. Now, this gives context to this. As we were saying that they tried to whitewash him, but he was Melungeon. And what does a Melungeon look like? Boom. This what a Melungeon looked like. You see it? So he was black this whole time. But not only that, he was one of the lost tribes. You feel what I'm saying?
Get in here, get in here, get in here. Everybody got the round. I got a gift for you. I got a gift for the peoples who donated to my Cash App. I'm about to give them a gift of a lifetime. But you see this Google Drive? Whatever I give you, make sure you put it on your drive ASAP. It's that serious. So I told a lot of peoples that I was gonna give them one of the biggest gifts, right? And this gift has something to do with court documents that I normally don't give out. So I want to give it out to the peoples who donated their tools and fuels. And in this court document, it tells a lot about your history, who was involved in your history, even the schools, even the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Everybody's involved in this document, what I'm about to give you, only because you donated to the Cash App. Now, copy this number, take a screenshot, please, ASAP. Take a screenshot. And as you can see, bam, got something to do with that, right? As you can see right here, take a screenshot, please. Now, as you can see, this is the only two places on the internet that you can download literally the whole document that got something to do with us that was hidden in history. You can't find it on the internet, so don't even try. You can only go here, ASAP. Now, in this document, if you go close right here, and as you can see, it literally go all the way back to 1902. It go all the way back to 1901. And as you can see, Black Indian descendants, and it talks about entitlement to land allotments, money, and everything you wanted to know. Everything you wanted to know. As you can see right here, it talks about the 5 tribes, right? And if you go up here, it's called the Harvard Institute of Freedmen, Plaintiff, Department of Interior. You go to judge right here, Robert. And as you can see, they try to dismiss the case. So once you read this, it's going to blow your mind on how much we is owed. And it's about to make sense why you're trying to give us this $12,000 a month. So let me give you a little commentary before I continue. Basically, they tried to hide who we are so they can wait till a certain amount of time and take the land. But what they did is actually messed up. Because when Dr. Martin Luther King did the Public Law 90284, it actually put us back in the right status under the treaties. Okay? So under the treaties. So what they did or tried to do is say, ooh, African American. So now It go back, if you clearly read, I don't know if you can see it, that's why I say it. It tried to put us under custodian and fiduciary relationships with the so-called 5 civilized tribes. And we even get compensation for damages, right? It's a lot in, oh my God, it's so much stuff in here. You're gonna need about 2 hours to read all these documents. And you're gonna need all these documents. And I'm telling you, I love you. When you read it, you're gonna come back and you're gonna be in my inbox, or you're gonna come to this page and you're gonna say, thank you for this gift. And you can even say that you discovered it, because you got the documents. And when you read the documents, it's gonna blow your mind. So now ask yourself, who built all these pyramids? Who built all these mounds? Who owned all the land that's still in the Lodial title? We do. So now you're about to find out clearly why Washington, D.C. closed down, Britain closed down, and those who call themselves the Jays going through what they're going through. Because we still prisoners of war. But when you read this document, you're entitled to a lot of bread, my friend. And this is what I'm thinking. Wherever you stay at, whatever home, you own that home and you own that land. Because we ain't get the 40 acres and the mules. Once you read this, you're about to understand we're rich, baby. We're rich. So if you like this, donate to the Cash App, please.